Alexander Usyk becomes the mandatory for the WBO Heavyweight Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Remstar Says So. Let's get right into this one, guys. Alexander Usyk has been made the WBO Heavyweight Mandatory Challenger by exercising his WBO Cruiserweight Super Championship status. What this means is that because he was the champion at a lower weight class, he is now allowed to skip the rank and go straight into mandatory championship status by vacating his WBO Cruiserweight Championship. This is not something that's new. It's been done multiple times. If you look, Terence Crawford vacated his 140 junior welterweight championship and became the mandatory for Jeff Horn's 147, and that's how he became the 147 WBO champion. This has happened many times, and there's a lot of people that seem to be in outcry because they thought that their favorite Dillian Whyte mandatory, but no. So Dillian Whyte has taken another L, and Alexander Usyk has been mandated to fight the winner of the AJ versus Ruiz rematch. Now, I'm not 100% sure how this one works, guys. And the reason why I'm saying this is because if Anthony Joshua was to reclaim those championship belts, would Andy Ruiz be entitled to a rematch? And let's say, for example, if Ruiz was to go on and beat AJ again for the second time and solidify himself as the genuine unified heavyweight champion, would the WBO really stand in the way of Ruiz fighting Wilder for the undisputed championship with all four belts being on the line and there being one champion, one face, and one name? Does the WBO really stand and stop them from happening? Because what I think would most likely happen is if Ruiz was to win again and Al Heyman went to the WBO and said, look, we want to do this undisputed fight, I've got a strong feeling that the WBO would probably allow for this fight to happen and for Usyk to fight somebody else for the interim championship, and then the winner of that fight go on to fight Andy Ruiz, something like that. But this is a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes. There's a lot that needs to happen. I think the biggest issue for Alexander Usyk doing this is because I don't know if you guys know this, but when the WBO mandates somebody for a fight, they generally do not let that fighter fight anybody else before they take their championship fight. This happened to Tyson Fury when he became the mandatory for Vladimir Klitschko and he didn't have a fight for 10 months. This looks like what is happening to Anthony Yard now. And Alexander Usyk, he was supposed to have his warm-up fight with Carlos Takam, and that fight got pulled because Alexander Usyk supposedly tore his bicep or tricep or some bollocks like that. So I'm not 100% sure where this really leaves everybody and the final outcomes. Would I want to see Ruiz versus Usyk? I mean, it would be a good fight, and you would favor Usyk to do better against Ruiz than you would with AJ. The reason why is because Ruiz is only 6'2", Usyk is 6'3", AJ 6'7" with a reach of 82 inches. So you'd be thinking to yourself, okay, height-wise and reach-wise, it's a much better matchup in terms of Alexander Usyk's actually an inch taller. I'm not sure how they sort of measure out reach for reach. The only difference is that obviously Andy Ruiz is definitely going to have the weight advantage. I'm going to assume that when Usyk finally steps into the ring at heavyweight, I can't see him weighing in more than about sort of 215, 220, that sort of Deontay Wilder sort of weight. The reason why is because Alexander Usyk's going to want to bring speed and agility to his advantage when he does finally face Ruiz, AJ, Wilder, Fury, whoever it might be, whoever's holding on to that WBO strap at the time. But this does lead for interesting times in the heavyweight division, especially with the WBO being involved. Let's say, for example, best case scenario, Deontay Wilder comes through the Luis Ortiz fight and Ruiz beats AJ again. all of a sudden now you could be looking at setting up an undisputed championship fight. And if you look at the WBO rankings, Alexander Usyk is number 1 mandatory. Tyson Fury is number 2. You could have Alexander Usyk versus Tyson Fury for the WBO interim belt, with the winner going on to face the winner of Wilder versus Ruiz. That would be some sort of epic matchup, you know. And I'm sure the WBO would want to go for that, you know. That would be two great fights. I'm sure Bob Arum and Frank Warren would want to stick that on pay-per-view, or if it's on the Zone, it'll be the Zone plus either Sky Sports or BT Sports box office in the UK. And then it allows Wilder versus Ruiz to go and fight for all 4 of the belts. So it's all good. I think the biggest loser in this situation is Dillian White. Dillian White has just fucked himself. And if you guys are big fans of the channel and you guys know my sort of catalogue of work, I've already made a video saying I don't feel sorry for Dillian White. So I don't need to go into great detail on this one. But what I can say is that Dillian White has taken another L. He's not the WBC mandatory challenger, and he thought he was going to be mandated to be the WBO mandatory, and he's been pushed to the back of the queue. Tyson Fury's number 2, Alexander Usyk is number 1, Dillian White is number 3. That clearly shows that the WBO don't give a shit about these guys that Dillian White has been fighting. 2 fights against Derek Chisora doesn't mean much. Obviously, the Joseph Parker, that was a great fight, but Parker was coming off a loss, having just lost his WBO title. So there's a lot of things that you need to look at. But yeah, Dillian White has taken an L. Alexander Usyk up to number 1 into that mandatory position. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Would you actually want to see Alexander Usyk stepping straight into the ring with the likes of AJ or Ruiz? Do you think maybe he should just put down that mandatory status for a little bit and go and have a couple of warm-up fights at heavyweight to see how he gets on? Do you think that Usyk could actually become a heavyweight champion? I mean, as I said, if you know my back catalogue, you know my thoughts on this. I don't think that Usyk has any real business fighting in the heavyweight division, but you know, I've seen worse things happen. I thought AJ was going to steamroll Andy Ruiz. Now the heavyweight division is all open again. One thing you'll see is that Eddie Hearn has been saying that he expects the World Championship belts to become fragmented, where he thinks the winner of AJ versus Ruiz will be stripped of 1, if not 2 of the belts. I think he's only saying that if it's Ruiz. I think Anthony Joshua is a bit similar to the likes of Canelo Alvarez because he gets paid so much money. Does the WBO, the IBF, or the WBA really strip him of 1 of those 3 belts, knowing that, you know, if you strip AJ, you're missing out on all those sanctioning fees? I don't think they do, but you know, stranger things have happened. The WBA were supposed to strip AJ for not fighting Ortiz back in 2017. That never happened, so I'm not really holding my breath for anything. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. Do you think it's fair? Do you think Dillian White's been hard done by? Do you think that Alexander Usyk can beat Ruiz or AJ? And if Ruiz comes through and Wilder comes through, would you rather see Wilder fight Ruiz for undisputed, or do you think that Usyk should get his title shot? Leave a comment, hit subscribe, press that bell icon. I'm back. I'm going to put out a couple of videos because I've been away for over a week and I know you guys have been missing my take on things. Anyway, that's the end of the show because Remstar says so.